All right, welcome back. Now, in the year 2008, an idea was conceptualized, and in January 2013, we had this idea being launched by the then President Mwai Kibaki. This is all about the Konza Techno City, which was one of Vision 2030 projects that would give Kenya a silicon savanna to match the Silicon Valley that is in the United States. So many years have gone down the line, and achieving this dream seems to be problematic. Challenges have been there. Critics have said so many things. Fingers have been pointed. Accusations have been made. And at the end of the day, it's all about knowing what next for Konza City. That is the discussion that we're having this fine Wednesday morning. What is Konza City going? What next for it? I'm joined in studio by Engineer John Tanui. He is the CEO of Konza Technopolis Development Authority. And next to him, towards my father's left, I'm joined by His Excellency Professor Kivutha Kibwana, Governor of Makueni County. Thank you very much, gentlemen, for joining me this morning.
Thank you.
Asante sana.
You can be part of this conversation. The hashtag is Good Morning Kenya on Twitter, at KBC Television, at Jenambui, at Ram Aguko. But remember to also tag them at Governor Kibwana, at Tanui John, and at Konza, at Konza City. All right? That is the hashtag that you can use on Twitter to interact with us. Good Morning Kenya to use. Now, directly to the governor. Remember, the hashtag is Good Morning Kenya, at Konza Tech, rather. So far, Governor, Makueni County seemingly has a good reputation, and we had the Auditor General's report giving us a good vision about how developed Makueni County is. People have really given you a thumbs up. What is the secret?
First of all, thank you very much for inviting us to this very influential show.
You're welcome.
Good morning, Kenya. And I say good morning to Kenya. I think it is just a realization that when you're in the public space, when you're working for the public, the resources that are trusted to you belong to the public. And therefore, you're very careful to make sure that those resources are used prudently. And of course, you have to try the best that you can to motivate, to respect and motivate your co-workers. As you tell them that integrity is of the highest order, but you also respect them so that you can motivate them to do work. And critically, you have to get the population, the owners of the county, the owners of the country, to really be part and parcel of developing themselves.
Regardless of critics, you've managed to be at the top.
I think because of all that combined effort, and of course with the citizens of our county, citizens of our country being patriotic, that I think that combination makes a county, a country move forward.
All right. And I'll come back to you later on. But Engineer Tanui, Konza City, is it dead?
Ram, first I want to say I appreciate participation in this Good Morning show, and I want to tell you the project is on course. It's
still
not
alive.
dead, it's very alive. The foundations are very solid. We are facing the future to ensure that the dream that was envisioned is realized. And some of the key pillars that needed to be in place, because it's a greenfield city, the government conceptualized the project very well, relevant experts were put in place. The project is well conceptualized. The master plan is in place, which is reflective with the current and future direction of global environment in smart cities. We are focusing on two things to make it success. But, one is infrastructure. Second is to make it an innovation hub, a global innovation hub.
So it's two things, infrastructure and make it a global innovation hub. But Engineer Tanui, people have felt that, you know, the Konza Digital Media City dream has taken quite a long time to be achieved. Okay, what is the existing time frame that you're having, like, and completing the planned city and it's working out? What is the time frame?
Yes, Konza Technopolis journey. It's been long, but a project of this magnitude really requires significant time in planning, requires significant time in bringing the required resources in place, because we also have national competing needs for resources. So, but in terms of timelines, we are on course, because as mentioned, there are steps towards realization of a smart city or a city of this nature, especially building from greenfield. And this is probably the first time that the country is building a fresh new city.
But you've taken so many years.
Greenfield. To look at, the first is the land had to be acquired. The entity called Konza Technopolis Development Authority had to be established in 2012. A team had to be put in place to lead a board. Staff had to be recruited from 2014 and consultants to conceptualize the project. So from 2014 is when we went into initial stage of implementation, which was development of guidelines. And the actual implementation of the project started about 2016. This is where now we started working on the first building, which is on progress. We started working on key infrastructure to attract now investment. And then now we'll go to the basic specific projects that will make Konza a success, including a research institute, a digital media city, which you mentioned is a component inside a Technopolis. It's not. The digital media city is part of the components that we want to make this city a success. It includes digital media city, a science park, a business location focused on engineering, ICT, and life sciences.
All right, we'll talk about even the research institute in a bit. But His Excellency, welcome back to Kenya.
Thank you very much.
I am aware that you are out for the whole of last week. On a very important mission to do with this issue of Konza Digital Media City implementation. Now, what experiences have you come back with from Korea with regards to driving this internship, and will it drive the completion of the proposed city?
Actually, let me confess that initially the governors around Konza and also some other leaders were skeptical about Konza. And part of it was actually having adequate information.
Governors
about
around the other counties?
Meaning Makueni, Kajiado, and Machakos, because that is the epicenter of Konza. But it had more to do with us not accessing information about what was happening, as engineer is describing. So when now I developed a lot of interest in the project, because the epicenter of it is in Makueni, but the buffer zone is in Kajiado, Machakos, so we share. And indeed, it's a national project, and not even a national project, an African project and an international project. So it is really huge.
Some are debating that it doesn't belong to you, so you should keep off.
I think that is what I'm telling you about information, lack of adequate information. But when, for example, I took a lot of interest now in terms of being part and parcel of driving this program, helping the national government to do it, because it's a national government project. It will be a national asset. So one realized that, as engineer said, that a lot of the infrastructure, that is the plots that people will lease, a lot of that work has been done. In actual fact, there is a building there of the administrative block, and which will also, some parts of it will also be leased, of 8 floors. That is about complete. Most critically, and you said we'll discuss this later, most critically, part of why I was in the delegation of 25 Kenyans from the private sector, from KOTDA, that is the Konza Technopolis Authority, from the county, from national government. So all of us, and of course with our very able ambassador and deputy ambassador who are hosting us, we were able to know some of what Korea intends to do to assist us. Already, Korea has made substantial resources available for the KAIST, which will be like Kenya Advanced Institute of Technology and Science. So, and that is a world-class university, like the one in Korea, is so critical for them because it is an engine of their growth. Because in that country, they have a partnership of the government, the private sector, academia, and the people. So that as they do their work, the government of Korea protects its private sector and enables it to succeed. The academia, they don't do anything without research.
So now what comparative relationship do we have to draw between now Kenya and Korea?
Precisely. So now this KAIST in Kenya, this institute, which is even more advanced than universities, because it will admit students from the whole continent and even some from elsewhere. This is where all research which is required for development, most of the research, because of course we have the other universities, but most of the research will come from here in terms of technology, in terms of development paradigms, in terms of urban development. So this is actually the place which will help not only Kenya, but the surrounding African countries to be able to develop towards urbanization.
We can reach that level of academia within the country with comparison.
This will be a world-class university which will get professors from everywhere in the world. Already, as I said, an engineer will confirm, funds have been made available to start this. So that is a done deal with Exim Bank assisting us, and of course also our country contributing. Then the Korean government is also helping us with a pre-feasibility study to explore the question of a digital media city, where all the creatives will have space, including IT people, animation, films, the whole works. And that is where the fourth industrial revolution is driving countries that are seeking progress. So I would expect KBC would go there. I would expect a lot of filmmakers would go there. Actually, I was surprised in that trip to learn, even from Koreans themselves, that KBC has most equipment in broadcasting than any other station.
Yes, we do.
In Kenya. I was kind of surprised. I was here first time 1967 when I was a Form 1. We had a drama which was being recorded and so on. But
so you were a drama member back then in
that time in secondary school. But I think the point is, I'm really now, very committed to even explaining to, some of my fellow governors, anybody, any leader, that Konza can potentially create a miracle for our country in terms of giving us the city that will drive our overall development. And I think that is why it was in Vision 2030.
All right. But speaking of Vision 2030, Ruben Mutiso, the chairman for the Konza Technopolis Development Authority, said this, and I quote, "I am talking as an architect. I'm very pleased with the speed. I know the beginning was slow. We probably talked a lot. We talked too much, and people's expectations were raised to a level where they started thinking that it will be done tomorrow." Okay, what assurance can you give Kenyans that it will actually happen?
I think first, there is no better assurance than the words of our chairman, who is overall champion for this project. First is that two critical pillars for Konza's success. One is world-class infrastructure. You could say smart world-class infrastructure. And the second is the driver for innovation, knowledge economy, and technology.
Why these two pillars?
These two pillars would guarantee the transformation miracle that even His Excellency mentioned, because we believe the way Konza has been conceptualized will play a critical role in the journey of our country. And from the learning lessons, even from successful countries like Korea, some of their greatest transformation has happened because of the critical pillars they put in place, which was the academia, which was focused on innovation, technology, and knowledge economy. And Konza really is solid on those foundations. We normally compare ourselves with Korea, South Korea, the progress they have made, and learning from what they have done. We are satisfied from where I sit that indeed we have the right pillars in place to make the dream of Konza Technopolis realistic. And, to tell you exactly where we are, is that we are at the infrastructure development. We had a greenfield city, means there was nothing. So we had to design a city. We had now to get a contractor to start building the roads, the wastewater treatment, the electrical distribution, the water, waste, solid waste, and we have that contractor currently at the ground ongoing with the construction. So this is quite an impressive progress with timelines now from now we expect in the next 6 months that on 400 acres, that's the first phase of phase 1 of Konza, that it will be fully serviced. Any parcel there will be fully serviced. A developer just comes and picks a parcel and develops what is required. So that is one. Second is to make it smart. We have discussed with the Ministry of ICT, with our leadership of CS Jomo Sheru, who has agreed to locate one of the national data centers of the country to Konza Technopolis. So this will give us two things. One, it will position Konza Technopolis globally as an excellent location, because this is a key facility that is required for innovation, technology, and knowledge economy. Second, we will use this platform for smart city facilities. A smart city would require a lot of sensors or things called IoT, data, and news to make the city smart. So we think the location of this is an excellent, there's good progress on this. We're expecting this to start very soon. The other key component on the second pillar is to drive the innovation technology, and Ministry of Education has helped us to locate this world-class research institute in Konza with the support of Koreans. The funding has been availed, the processes have been done. We have now we are at the design stage. Within the next 4 to 6 months, the designs will be completed for the university. But it's a 13.5 billion research institute. So it's a game changer for our country. And we'll be focusing on master's and PhD program on STEM, science, technology, engineering, and mathematics. So initially it will focus on around 6 programs: biotechnology, agriculture, civil engineering, electrical, ICT, and biotech, amongst others. So we think that platform to take our country to the knowledge economy is now on course. But
I remember there was a time in 2016 when you were talking about the issue of Konza, and you said that by 2018 we will have finished the first phase in the around March there in 2018 there. I don't know if right now we are on course. You've talked about being in the first design.
That is for the Research Institute. You see now there is the Konza Technopolis, the entire 5,000 acres. Yeah. We have the phase 1, which is 400 acres.
Is it done?
We said a contractor is now at the ground building the basic infrastructure. That's the roads and everything to make it a world-class city. We are satisfied with the work ongoing, and that's even what my chairman is alluding. Progress on course, there is timelines. Then inside this, there are other projects. What you could be alluding to was the first building at Konza Technopolis. The first building is on course. We're expecting within another few months, probably 2 months, the building to be ready. We have, say we are at over 95% completion for the phase 1 of the building. The building has 3 components. It has the office block, a conference facility, and the hotel. So for the office block, we are actually at the completion stage, which is at 95%. The hotel and the conference facility will come at a later time.
Initially, we had a cost of around 850 million shillings, and it went up to around 1.4 trillion shillings. And the government is handling around 10% of this. I don't know if that is right. Do you have a problem with funding, and will you see this thing if it is going to work out?
First, when the project was conceptualized, estimates were put in place, and those estimates, as per that time, was actually $1.4 billion, which is around 1.4 trillion. So they changed from 850 to that to 1.4, because those were the initial documents produced by what was called Master Development Partner 1, which was led by IFC. And those are the figures. Government has fully supported the project. We are very satisfied with the support we've received from our ministry, the National Treasury, and the leadership of the country to make the project success. And I mentioned the construction of basic infrastructure is ongoing. We have funding for the university as mentioned, a world-class university with the support of Koreans, and they will give us a partnership for a long period to ensure that we make it actually a world-class and benchmark or pair it with the Korean one. As Korean university called Korea Advanced Institute of Science Technology is the 6th most innovative university in the world. You can imagine probably. And
that is what we are working,
and they are actually the lead consultancy in development of the Kenya KAIST.
When you were given a good report by the Auditor General, one thing that came out was the proper use of funds that you received. When you look at Konza City and funding, how do you see it in terms of the usage and how it receives and uses funds?
Of course, one would have to, because usually that is the Auditor General who does that in terms of looking at the books and saying that there is good use of the money. But given the progress that has happened with the kind of money that they get from the national government, given also the people who are working there and the knowledge that I have with them, there are people who are quite prudent in terms of the use of resources. Given that we're also getting resources from the Koreans don't joke with their money. When they give you their money, they make sure that you spend it properly, and even in their own country. For example, there is a president who was who faced criminal charges because our friend who was associating with her was doing wrong. Not even the president, but the court said that she should have known our friend was doing wrong.
But so Korea is doing so much better than Kenya.
They are very, very strict. So I am sure that because I was privileged to sit in one of the discussions about the funding flows and so on to Konza. And they were satisfied that what they are disbursing, what they're helping out with. And that's why there's a lot of, in actual fact, there is remarkable interest. And when Korea is remarkably interested in a particular project, that is an extremely good sign.
It's a good sign. And speaking of interests, we have had quite an unfortunate turn of events at some point where we had multinational firms, including Google, Huawei, BlackBerry. Even within our country here, we're having Safaricom. Investors have had to pull out of the Konza City issue. Some left. And according to you, Tanui, you said, and I would quote, the proposed project will leverage on a robust smart city to attract leading global investors and therefore create employment and boost national economy. That's what you said. You had said earlier on. How are you going to get back investors' interest in this project? Some already pulled out.
First, I want to tell you they have not pulled out. What could have happened in some cases is investments which needed to happen with certain timelines, with multinationals, levels of standards and due diligence they need to do. Probably some few issues is they were located elsewhere because of like the Embesa school and that initially they did it in Konza, but Konza was not ready at that time.
They relocated?
I mean, they chose a different location. But to tell you the interest of multinational, and I work with one of the high-tech firms before, their standards of choosing a location is very important. And what we are doing now, they are very satisfied with it because we are putting a world-class infrastructure. And we expect now, within the next few years, with this infrastructure in place, this will be a preferred location for many of these multinational, either to locate their country offices, their regional offices, African region offices, and even we are believing they will decentralize or locate one of their corporate functions to Kenya, because we have a talent pool. And we are working with all the other agencies in Kenya to make Konza really an attractive place for the high-tech firms, not only for the local firms to grow from startups, SMEs to multinational, but to attract the multinational to relocate something from their corporate headquarters to Kenya.
What investment opportunities and incentives are there for Konza for our local investors?
First, okay, for the global investors, before coming to the local investors, is we want this to be an attractive location for them. And how can you make it attractive? We have to look at the infrastructure, what we are working on. The second one is we have to look at clustering. The value now, we are focusing on specific areas. We are focusing on engineering, ICT, and life sciences. We are also working with government to locate facilities that can attract. Ministry of Education is planning to put a science technology park inside Konza, which will focus on biotechnology. So the farms which are in biotech would be attracted to Konza. We are also working with Ministry of Education to locate a national physical science laboratory in Konza. This will be a facility, a resource that will attract multinationals. And for the local companies, we are looking this to be an humble place to provide ideas. And if you look the trends all over the world, because we would want to take Kenya from where we are to the next level, and the Chinese other nations have worked. Korea is a good example. Within 40 years, they've worked the whole journey to be really at the top in many of the parameters. And we think bringing the academia, bringing the business community and government into one location, and having institutions that focus on research, high talent, that will not give us just the startups, also startups which are in high-tech, because the area of competition globally we are going is knowledge, and you must have the very best. So this university and institution we are putting up in Konza will be very valuable to SMEs, because you'll need to pair with somebody working in research in certain areas, and you'll not be going to a business blindly, but you'll be going with knowledge and with experts. Also, the location will be excellent for locals. We also working under the special economic zones environment, which we appreciate the government put in place, and they are currently moving forward to operationalize, and there will be benefits for Kenyan enterprises to be located at Konza. And we are also working with the other academic institutions in the country, not only the KAIST, but the other universities, to see how can we facilitate an environment where ideas can grow to startups. Startups becomes SMEs, and how do we grow these SMEs to the next level to be multinationals? And some of the lessons we saw in Korea is that they've created places where they require you to come with an idea. And the objective of that idea is how do you turn that idea into an export for the country? And as His Excellency the Governor mentioned, the project we went to is a second project that the Korean government actually gave us a grant to look the possibility of establishing a digital media city inside Konza Technopolis. And we visited a similar one.
Is this yet another project?
This is a new, another project. So in addition to the research institute, they have already given us a grant. A grant is just funds which, you do not need to repay to do the feasibility.
Is it sufficient?
It's sufficient to conceptualize the project. And once it's conceptualized, the funders, including the Korea Exim Bank, are willing to consider it for financing, for funding at a later. And it's going to be a game changer, because that is a place where they require you to come with an idea, then they turn this an idea in a channel targeting export, that in the long run, you export your products, your creations, whether it's animations, whether it's any other businesses within the bigger digital media economy, and it will open a huge opportunities for our people, especially the young people, and to target not only the local market, but what can Kenya give to the world.
Governor, you are in Korea, and you are in a workshop from the 6th to the 14th of April there, and you took quite some time. From the pictures that we see on our screens there, those images there, is this what we are working with?
Let me before answering that question directly, also add on to something that Engineer Tanui has said, that when you look at where Nairobi is expanding, Nairobi cannot easily expand towards Kiambu or even Limuru, maybe Kajiado, and more significantly, Machakos, Makueni, those sites. So Konza, being only 60 kilometers away from Nairobi, by and by, when this smart city is established there, Nairobi and that smart city will just conjoin.
How do you see it conjoining together? 60 kilometers is
60 kilometers, when one looks at the experience of Korea, it's almost a country of cities. They are equivalent of the National Housing Corporation. Within that 40-year period, has been able to build 600 cities, smart cities, because most of the population is urbanized. Very few people live in the rural areas. So indeed, that is really, even a lot of Machakos now is becoming Nairobi. They're joining, and Konza is just next door. Therefore, and again, when you look at the Kenyan private sector in terms of building, they are building a lot within Nairobi. So they have the capacity to also, apart from the international group, they have the capacity also to build in Konza. So for me, when the government also, like now what engineer has described, the ministries that are planning to also build important institutions in Konza, you see, that is now the impetus that will make everybody now realize all this work that has been put into a place, all this work that has been done since this idea started, you know, the infrastructure, and now the international community getting very much interested so that Korea can fund important institutions. Indeed, there isn't such a university in the continent. And even in terms of smart, yes, continent of Africa. And also,
all right.
Yes, thank you for the correction. And also, in terms of smart cities, I think one can talk about South Africa, probably. Even Egypt didn't quite do a smart city. They just did a place where like 500 million people could be housed. But it wasn't a smart city in terms of where you find everything within that particular space. So I think for us, of course, as Kenyans, there are those who begin to say that something has happened. When now you see a whole city like a Korean, you know, smart city, or a smart city in Malaysia, or a smart city everywhere.
But now, Governor, you may have competition.
Yes.
You know, from, for example, Rwanda's Kigali Innovation City, Echo at Atlantic City near Lagos, Ghana's Hope City, and even an Ethiopian city, which are the other smart cities that are competing with Konza. Are we at a serious disadvantage here vis-a-vis all these countries? What does that mean for you?
You see, although engineer will answer that even better than myself, but the fact that we have virgin land of about 5,000 acres, very few places have that kind of land. And indeed, the problem in Seoul itself and Korea generally was they had to buy land, you know, from private people, and it was not easy because they didn't also have a lot of land as such. But for us,
we have the land.
We have that, and Rwanda doesn't have that. And many of those countries, they are small enclaves, not huge cities like our Konza. And this institution, this very, very advanced university, that is also a game changer. You know, because as the engineer said, we are going towards a world. The first world was, the first industrial revolution was where the steam engine was like, you know, catalyzed a lot of transport and so on, and agriculture grew. Then, you know, you had the electricity, you know, bring about mass production. Then you had this knowledge-based economy, and the fourth industrial revolution of really making innovation so that you have one idea, and from that one idea, when it works, you like internet, like Facebook, like all those were things that when they were being developed by people who were said had not finished ICT, you know.
So it is possible.
It is possible, and that is what I personally am asking Kenyans to really see, and particularly the political people like where we are at, like the counties and so on, to see that this, let us incubate, help to incubate this idea, help the national government, help the Konza Technopolis to realize this dream, and even in terms of an incentive, the buffer zone, there is already demarcated what is a buffer zone outside the 5,000 acres. Even that, we want to sit down with Kajiado, with Machakos, with Makueni, with Kotda, with the National Ministry of Lands, with ICT Ministry, and also there say that this is the way in which this land is going to be used, so that it doesn't contradict what is happening in the city.
But you know, Governor, you had pledged to lobby your colleagues, Governor Chautingulu, Governor Alfred Mutua, even Governor Ole Lenku,
yes,
so that the region can benefit from the project under Southeastern Kenya economic bloc.
That's correct.
That was what you had pledged.
Yes.
And that was quite a while back. How is it working out for you so far?
We are in conversations, the 3 counties of the Southeastern region. Kajiado went into another, with Narok, into another economic bloc. But economic blocks also work together. And there are even many other projects that we are working with Taita Taveta, we are working with Kajiado, particularly in terms of environment and food processing. So even this idea, for us it's very, very important that the developments around the core city, the 5,000 acres, also don't contradict a world-class city. And so we want to even help our investors who have bought land there and who are raring to go to begin to invest. We say, you know, this is a joint approval system. This is how, you know, we will approve what you build here, so that later you are not told that this doesn't kind of work. So I think the kind of enthusiasm that maybe is coming through, it's because one has, after the Korean experience, and even before, after now studying more what's happening there, one has seen that even the private sector here is trying to build some cities. Some people are trying to build some cities, but they are not necessarily smart cities, and they are a small place. The private sector in Nairobi and in many towns, they are building, you know, those big buildings. So,
but you've given the private sector so much percentage in terms of funding and developing of Konza City?
Yes. In terms of the investment, the Kenyan government will play probably up to 10% level, and this is facilitative to ensure the basic infrastructure in place, the place is attractive, and also the government invests outside to make the location attractive, like linkages between Konza and Nairobi, linkages between Konza and SGR in the future, linkages between Konza and Machakos town and Wote to Kajiado, and the water sufficiency not only for Konza but within. So government has done also other investment, even power, to ensure that Konza is power reliable and sufficient capacity. There is huge investment. Getrago is putting a huge substation, a 400 kV substation inside Konza.
Some people had said that this project, Konza City, is too big to be achieved. So
let me go first to the first question you had asked, His Excellency, to say what's happening in the rest of Africa.
Yes.
Are we being overtaken?
Yes.
But I can tell you, as my chairman alluded, we have been focusing on solid foundations. And we can tell Kenyans the foundations we have put for Konza will make it a leader in Africa. We will be among global innovation locations.
You are confident in that?
Very confident. The foundations we have put in terms of infrastructure, in terms of the thinking, the expertise brought from local experts in the country. We've accessed experts. The IFC, the MDP1 was led by IFC. MDP2 is led by American company. The contractor is a European. We have Chinese parts playing a role, Koreans leading us in the knowledge economy. We've got the very best mix of global to make Konza a success.
Despite the economic GDP of the country.
Yeah. So one thing, the project is huge, but do we need to do this as a country? Do we need to move forward? If we indeed need to move forward, we must invest. The way we invest in infrastructure like roads, they're huge investment. We invest in infrastructure like the railways and so forth. We must invest in the infrastructure that will take us in the journey of knowledge economy, because that's where the huge transformation will happen. Because the resource that we have as a country is people. So first we must focus on institutions that will help our people to be unacceptable. And we must tap the values and advantages that smart cities and urbanization come in addressing global issues. Today, there are small cities whose GDP is bigger than nations. And this can be compared.
Okay.
And it is possible.
You agree with him?
And there are many small cities. Even in Korea, you find a small city, and its economy is compared with several countries. And sometimes you can be shocked. Even one of the small cities we visited is bigger than the economy of our country, and it's a city which is less than 10 years old.
So regardless of the GDP of the country, Konza City can be built.
It can, and we've started this, and
it's not too big.
The project is huge, and it needs to be that ambitious, because we must set the country. You add for Korea, up to now they have 600 smart cities built by the government, and we are doing our very first one as a government. We must set the right tone, because this is the journey. It's going to be centers of economic drive for our country, and this is not going to be the last city the country is building. This is going to be the first one, and for us to advance our economy and our GDP, we will focus on cities, because the future is economies will be not of nations but cities.
Powerful word there. That is the future. We have an image there of what Konza City looks like currently. That is it. And that's the head office. Sits in the middle there.
Building. That's actually the first building, and we've adopted the standard that's required in ensuring it's an energy efficient building, complying with smart city standards. And next buildings will be following a similar model, and that's where we'll start operating as a corridor. We will also host first investors who will be coming to develop. We'll also provide space for our innovation community that from now we already started from December last year, hosting innovation activities for the young people and our universities to start conceptualizing and building the innovation journey for the country.
So we are talking about next level top technology with a building like this.
The journey has to start. A journey has to start with a single step. And this is the journey we are in. And I mentioned the foundations are solid.
Governor, in 2017, you tweeted, and I quote, "The development of Konza Technopolis is a vision we hold dear as a county. I have challenged at Konza Tech to work with us every step of the way so our people can be part of this great initiative." Makueni County so far, is set to reap big from the Konza Digital Media City. Your Excellency, what is the promise that is represented by Konza to the people of Makueni County and even nationally to Kenyans?
Well, first of all, it is the people of Makueni alongside other Kenyans and people from the African continent to participate in the high-end activities of the Konza Technopolis city in terms of being a central part of the innovation, a central part of the knowledge-driven economy. Because we believe that people from Makueni can pitch that high. But there are also many other advantages. For example, a city like that requires food. If you produced even 1% of the food of that city, your county would be, there would be no talk of famines anymore because the people would be making a lot of money. Even when it comes to the building, a lot of people from, Makueni, from Machakos, from Kajiado, from all over the country will be part of, building, like even this particular building that you showed us. There were people from Makueni and elsewhere who, benefited a lot. So I think what is happening from my point of view is initially we were not understanding this big vision of Konza. But when, we took time and we were humble enough to go close to those who were dreaming this big dream, and we understood what was happening. And then, of course, we also related with the Koreans before going to Korea. And now we went to Korea. And we saw that actually, when Konza happens, and it will happen. It will happen. And I believe it will happen in my lifetime. unless something drastically happens.
Nothing will
because
happen.
I am not too old yet. People will realize that you need other concerts to now take Kenya where we have all wanted to a fast, a middle-income economy, and even beyond middle economy country.
Yeah, you're right, because we had a tweet here by Senator Mutula Kilonzo Jr. A while back. He said, Makueni plays an integral part in the buffer zone in terms of urban planning, Kajiado and Machakos too. Facts don't lie. That was a tweet by your senator there. But, you know, it comes to question here. What measures can be taken to give Konza a Kenyan feel, you know, regardless of, we are looking rather than the multinational or the international kind of level where, or the Korean character. How can we give this project, Konza City, that Kenyan feel?
You know, something that I noticed when we went to Korea, and we went with part of the private sector of Kenya in the creative arts, that people make films, who make animation, you know, and even we met Kenyans in Korea who are doing robotics.
Wow, wow. We need such.
And people make films, and people who make games, you know. Even there, I was surprised that some of these games which we play on the, you know, what are they called? Those gadgets. Yeah, those games.
Those PlayStations.
Precisely.
Yes.
Those ones are big money in Korea because they are filmed and they are shown as films, and even people come to watch people playing those games.
So Kenyans have the minds. We have that intellectual standing.
So if we now support our creative folks, and because even the Korean example is one where those small startups, which don't have a lot of money, don't build themselves. The government builds a place, and you're given space, and you don't pay much initially, and then when you grow, then you start paying. So even as I said earlier, KBC can have, you know, a big building in Konza, courtesy of the government, the national government, so that a lot of all this equipment which is here, which is first class, can be used there by many of our creatives. Again, something else that, and I think actually the national government should try to get all ministries, just as engineer explained, to get ministries to do something within Konza. And there's another feature which even in Korea they were able to pick, that part of Konza, the neighboring part, is a park. So that is again another destination of tourism, very, very special tourism, to come and see the digital, the Technopolis, the digital city, which is a component, and to enjoy tourism.
So this is something that we're looking at it
holistically.
Oh, holistically. Even it will build the country as a whole. Tourism. Economically, you know,
ICT,
yes.
Creating jobs for the youth.
Yes,
yes.
This is going to be a platform for the next step of taking Kenya's transformation forward. We've seen the successes from our innovation hubs in the country, located in urban centers in Nairobi, like High Hub and many others. Konza is going to multiply that if I can provide that platform and bring on board more young people to that platform and create more potentials. And you mentioned the role of private sector. We are also convinced the private sector need to take the leadership in Konza. And recently our CS chaired a meeting between the private sector and ministry agencies. And in this month, we will, early next month, we will have a meeting with the Kenya Private Sector Alliance at Konza, for them also to see the opportunities that are there in Konza and to help to play their role, because the private sector must play its role, the academia must play its role, the government and the public will play its role. And for that, we will be able to actually realize that dream.
All right.
And you mentioned about working with the the counties, and we appreciate the leadership and championing of His Excellency Kivutha Kibwana, and we're looking forward to work with the 3 county governments and the economic blocks which are there.
Okay.
We appreciate the leaders who have come out to champion specific initiatives. Senator Mutula Kilonzo Jr. Currently champions an initiative we started last year, December, which brings the young people, the children in primary and secondary school, to participate in an initiative. We call it now Konza Innovation Ecosystem Initiative, where they work with private sector and those who are able to grow their talent at that young age, to be able to innovate and to grow their innovations. We also have those events with the universities, and we're having the second event this April.
All right.
Even to add on that, if you may allow me.
Yes.
In Makueni already, we are training our kids in terms of something we call Tusome Computer, Duani. That is, we are preparing them.
Meaning what, Tusome Computer?
Tusome Computer. So that some kids come with degrees, others, you know, who have diplomas, so that they are able to even do outsourcing jobs. So already, like now, as we sit, and I asked engineer to come and speak to them about Konza. Yes. As we sit, they are in class.
They're in class right now.
They are in class right now, because we have seen that we don't simply want to do the tomatoes and the vegetables for Konza. We want to be part and parcel of the real thing within Konza.
Governor, this is quite interesting here, but as we wrap things up, what do you propose, what suggestions do you have that can propel Kenya to the next level?
I think something that I really admired in Korea, and it's something that I've been thinking even within Makueni, is how government helps the private sector to really grow into a big private sector. Like Samsung, Hyundai, those companies are not simply companies which the government says, private sector, just do your thing. The government tries to help them so that they grow big. Wow. And so the concept of the Korean government is not that private sector will be a private sector standing apart from the national government, but the national government has an interest in developing that private sector. And that is why when, for example, they say we want to do cell phones, they support that the private companies which are doing cell phones. If they say that we want to do cars, they support that private sector which is doing that. So I think sometimes there's been this separation between government and private sector, and we simply talk about regulation, but we need to do much more than that. The second thing is we really need to bring the academia, because interestingly, even in the papers yesterday, and broadcast media, students already, the young people already, are beginning to gravitate towards STEM courses, towards science, technology, engineering, mathematics. So even what is going to happen in KAIST, the students are ahead of us. They are already preferring that. So meaning again, if there's that emphasis of really the technology, the science and academia, helps everything that we do. There isn't anything that we do without the academia being part and parcel. And then the final thing that, of course, the youth thing, I think that's a big missing link of really having very concrete programs. And that is why the innovation thing, what they like, things that are exciting for them, developing that for them. And the final thing about patriotism. In Korea, like when they got into some problems because of debts, the people volunteered. They came before their government and donated like their gold, you know, their rings, even their wedding rings.
The citizens.
The citizens. Until some money was raised, which paid some of the debt. And the debtors now grew confidence, that had some now confidence in that these people are serious, they are serious people. So that love of our country, because I think sometimes it's like we hate our country.
I'm not a prophet of doom, but can Kenyans do that? We just donate money for the for that purpose.
But we have no alternative. We have to go that direction, because if we don't nurture our country,
right,
who will nurture us?
Powerful word. Now, the Senate Public Accounts Committee and Investments Committee has been able to summon, under the chair of Homa Bay Senator Moses Kajwang, to investigate Embu County, Lamu County, Nairobi, Kiambu, Wajir, Migori, Kisii, Taita Taveta, Murang'a, other counties that are there. We're having Tana River, Meru, Turkana, Kirinyaga, Mombasa. We can name them all. But Makueni does not appear to be on the list that has been summoned by the committee. Governor, congratulations on that.
Thank you. But although I should add that normally, even when you do well, they also call you to tell you you have done well. Because by law, they must call everybody. So these are the first ones. They must call the 47 of us. And it is normal procedure. The county assembly calls us, Senate calls us, and it is because we have to be accountable for the money that we spend. And that's the constitution, that's the law.
Thank you very much, Governor. Thank you very much. It has been all about Konza City this fine Wednesday morning. What are your thoughts concerning this? The hashtag to use is Good Morning Kenya, at KBC Television, at Ram Aguko, at Jane Wambui. And also, you can tag our governor at Governor Kibwana and at Tanui John. Thank you very much, gentlemen, for joining me this morning in studio. It has been a pleasure. I wish you the best.
Thank you very much.
Now, moving forward, it's all about Easter. You know, Easter is around the corner, and KBC has partnered with the Panari group of hotels to give you the best Easter treat ever before. What is your experience? That is all you have to do. Just tell us what your experience has been when it comes to having the worst Easter experience, and we will give you the best Easter this year. All you have to do is tweet. The hashtag is Easter with Panari, and you can be able to get a weekend getaway at the Panari Resort in Nyahururu, and dinner vouchers right here within the Panari in Nairobi along the Mombasa Road. Up next is Jane Wambui. So it's all about Good Morning Kenya, Panari, Easter, and it's all fun. So make sure that you send in your tweets, hashtag Easter with Panari. We are taking a short break. We'll be back. Jane Wambui is coming up next. Do not go too far.